Are those the faces of darling fans I see? It must be time to finish what we started. Hello everyone, my name is Oliver, and I am the host of this channel where we're teaching photography right now. Today we're going to be covering Photoshop skills, and we'll get into that. But very soon here, next episode, we're going to cover stylization for your photography, and then we're going to move on to season 2. I'm super hyped. I can't wait to show you guys what we have in store for our film classes. I just got a new job and it interrupted my regular schedule, and it kind of sucks, but I got a new job that I'm not happy about, and the schedule is changing every week. So I'm going to try very, very hard to maintain my bi-weekly schedule, because it pisses me off when people mess with my time and I can't do what I want to do. But I'm going to try very hard to stay on top of that. And I apologize for looking weird this episode because I don't have my glasses, which can make a huge difference. And I just kind of left them upstairs, and I'm too lazy to get them. And my monitor is huge and right in front of my face. And since we're going to be on Photoshop today, you know, not a big problem. I can see pretty clear what's in front of me here. So, diving right in from last episode, we went out, we took our pictures, and then we put them all into Lightroom, and we shot everything, edited everything in Lightroom, and now we're going to do our part 2, editing photography on Photoshop. And this is going to bring a lot of potential to your photographs if you so choose. If you choose to take the time for the photograph. If you want to go in and delete or erase every minute detail that doesn't belong, by all means go ahead and take the time and say, I'm not done with this photograph until it's perfect. And sometimes I feel that way. Sometimes I spend hours looking at the same photograph and changing little tiny things until I think it's just right, just perfect. But not every photograph requires that amount of energy. So I just wanted to show you the realm of Photoshop and just kind of show you options that you can do to tweak your photographs to either fix or remove things, replace things with something else, which can be easy or difficult depending on the photograph, of course, and how to put special effects on your photographs that you can't really do in Lightroom. So let's start discussing some in-depth techniques for our photo manipulating. I just recently went to Oktoberfest, which is something Utah does apparently. I just learned about it this year, but it's like a beer festival. And you just go and buy atrociously outrageous expensive beer, okay? And the big thing that we were going for was, one, the view, and secondly, the live music, and third was we had family in town and we were all going together to go do something special and fun and unique. So I took my camera and I took some really amazing photographs that I'm very proud of. I've missed taking some pictures like this. I just have not been able to get out as much as I used to, so it's been hard to get beautiful, breathtaking locations like this. But we did find it. On my screen, you can see the banister from inside looking out, and this is the scene that we were immersed in. And it says, "Thank you for coming" at the bottom. And it looks like a pretty great photograph, but it doesn't always start perfect. And this is where my picture started after I finished in Lightroom. And it was my job to come in here and edit things so that it becomes the perfect picture to me. And I have other examples. Here was a photograph that I took that I was very proud of, but there was something in the way. And I needed to just get rid of this one single black strap to make it look like the perfect photograph. It looks cleaner, it doesn't look as distracting now with that thing gone, right? If we go to this car lineup, you'll see after Lightroom, there was a few things that needed to be removed. We have this purple umbrella here and these other cars on the street above it. But I was able to remove these vehicles, remove the umbrella, and make it something really nice. And then I also added my logo in the top left corner on this building. There is this one here. This one turned out really good. We were all salivating over this outfit because it looks sick, and you can't see the back, but there was this really pretty lace on the back of the top. And before, there was a whole ass person in my frame that wouldn't move. But I wanted to immortalize the fit that we encountered in the wild. So I found a way to just put another devious fit behind it and show like, oh, this is something special. This is ass in the back. That, compared to this, no contest. And then we have this last one right here. Okay, see, another whole ass person that I couldn't seem to get rid of until Photoshop got involved. So there is a tool that I'm using for all of these that is extremely helpful. Okay, and we're gonna start with a picture from last episode. This guy right here. On your left here, you have a tab full of tools. And one of them up here is a polygonal lasso tool. So if you click and hold any of these options, it'll have like a drop-down menu of like this subclass of tool. If you go underneath it, you have like the magic wand that selects things of the same color and tone. But we're gonna use the what is this? The polygonal lasso tool. Fucking mouthful. And what we're gonna do is just zoom in over here because clearly the camera does not belong. So what we could do is by clicking on the screen, right, we start a line, and if we drag our finger, right, like my finger's not on the mouse anymore, but if you drag it around and make a shape around the camera, and probably this box too, let's be honest, who cares about this cardboard box? And we'll just select the camera and the cardboard box, okay? You'll see that Photoshop has this new assistant bar. They like to float around. And if you click generative fill, it's like an AI image generator built into Photoshop. And it comes in handy quite frequently for people's heads. At the bottom of the picture I need to crop out, just small things. But I try to save it for very intricate things that are way too hard to just Photoshop, you know, for me. So in this example, there's a lot of texture behind the camera and behind the cardboard box that I don't have information to pull from. So I'm going to just hit generate, and we're going to see what Photoshop can think of. It gave me 3 options, as you can see over here on the right. We have this one, and this one. And this last one looks pretty good. That looks like what I would assume to be actually in the background. So we're gonna stick with this third one, and just like that, our picture is a lot closer to being done. Let's get creative and see what else this AI tool can do, okay? I know that this is a very controversial topic, and I don't like to use AI like super crazy. It's just when there's like a mirror or like a reflection or a person that's not supposed to be there, and it's just going to be way too complicated and messy and obviously photoshopped if I give it a go. And if I try and I just can't seem to nail the image, then it's just easier to let AI take over and show me who's boss. And I think that's okay. And I'll get to that point again soon. But let's say that this fan is not floating my boat. So what if I selected it like this, and I tell the generative fill here, the AI tool, and I type in, let's say, an umbrella, and then click generate, it's going to start giving me options of like, is this the umbrella you're looking for? And we'll see if it's any good. I think that this is pretty limiting, honestly, and it's only really good for removing things. Much better at removing things out of frame than it is adding them in. So like, look at this umbrella it gave me. It's an umbrella with, I guess, like a telescope inside of it, but it's also like not the right lighting. This looks way too like bright and vibrant. It looks like a stock image I just plopped in here. That one's also no good. There's okay, yeah, like bad options. So, and that's the other thing, is that I feel like it's a lot easier to call it art when it becomes challenging. And you have to sit there and be like typing in specific phrases to make it do specific things until it's perfect. And I would not settle for any one of these fucking umbrellas. They're all ass. So let's go to this picture next. And let's talk about the content aware tool. This tool was around before AI started doing shit, okay? This has been around for a long time. So let's say, I don't know, I don't like this door hinge. Something small and easy to like, it has patterns around it to give it context for what would go inside of this frame. Instead of generative fill, what you can do is hit edit and hit fill and hit OK. And just like that, taking the information from around up and down, it was able to fill in the information in between and give you a seamless change, removal of that object. So for the content aware, that's all it is. It takes the surrounding information and tries to fill in your selection with its best guess of what was supposed to go there according to the pattern around it, which makes it great for pimples, or let's say a mole on my face. Okay, let's say this mole right here. And then I hit edit and fill and OK, and look at that. No more mole. Photoshop did it again. So those are just some possibilities to help remove things out of frame that you don't want in it. And I also wanted to go over the different kinds of selection tools. You do have a rectangle here, and you can select with rectangles. You also have circles. Then you have your polygonal lasso, which is like this. You click and create points. Or you could do just the normal lasso, and what you do is click and drag and draw a shape. Then there is the magic wand that selects according to color or luminance. And the quick selection tool where you click and drag as well. And it's like, it's also picking up like the magic wand based on luminance or hue, but it's according to your dragging, how far you take it in a certain direction. And that's what it'll select. The other thing I want to talk about is this panel right here, the adjustments tab. If you click this, you actually have a bunch of tools like hue and saturation where you can change the colors, the saturation, and how bright or dark the image is. And you have brightness and contrast, brighten, contrast, or you might be familiar with our curves tab here with a little S curve and make it a little bit more dreamy, a little bit more vintage. So you have tons of tools in this adjustment tab that you guys should just play around with and see what's in here. There's really cool stuff. Now, in the last video, there was a part where I said I was feeling under the weather, and there was like these little draw marker lines of me shaking and like shuddering from the cold and feeling sick. And that is easily done with a paintbrush in Photoshop. So you can click it here on your left panel and draw whatever you want, and your colors are right here, right? You can make it whatever you want and draw whatever you want. This looks kind of fuzzy, so maybe I'll go up here to the paintbrush settings and change the hardness so that it is like a solid, non-fuzzy line. What you can do is you can take screenshots of your footage, the frames that you want to use, and then dump them in Photoshop and then draw on a new layer. And you can, let's change this color. You can draw like a party hat or something, and then take the next frame and the next frame and just draw the hat every single frame. And then what you can do is uncheck the bottom layer and still have your hat, and then just export the hat as a PNG. See, you can still see it there. Maybe white wasn't the best choice. So then what I can do is export this as a PNG, which has no background, and then import that into my film project and then overlay it on the correct frames, and it'll animate you having a hat on your head. which is really cool and great for film projects. Another thing I wanted to mention in this video is actually overlays and how you can give things texture. And this is something I really adore about editing, is like this multimedia aspect. So I have a picture here, let's see, of this piece of paper, and it's pretty grungy, it's folded up, and what we're going to do is make it fit the canvas like this. And what I'm going to do is over here it says normal, and that's just the mode of transparency that the layer has. So if I go to screen, it'll make my image look a lot more dusty and have that texture. And that's kind of just how you achieve this effect of like giving something a texture or a fold or like a paper rip or something like that. So let's remove the texture for now. And then I'm gonna select myself very roughly, okay? I'm not gonna like care about this too much. And then I'm gonna do Control J, which makes a new layer, a copy of the selection I have, okay? So in this example, we're gonna recheck the texture tool. We're gonna bring back our paper and we're gonna shrink it down to my size, okay? We'll do something kind of like this. And if you hold down Alt and hold your mouse cursor in between the layers and click, it'll make a clipping mask. It cuts everything out of the image except for what's underneath it. So now we can just see our paper layer on me. So if I go to move this around, let's see, maybe this looks a little bit better. There we go. Now we got like this crinkled paper version of me. Now let's get rid of all of this paper crap and start again here. Another thing I wanted to talk about was halation or bloom. And the easiest way that I know to achieve that just really fast is if you hit Control J and duplicate your layer, and then you go to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur, and make it about something kind of like this. Okay, not extremely blurry. You want the shapes to kind of maintain their position in the image. So we're gonna say okay about here. And then you can go to your layer opacity and we can go to screen. And then that seems like a bit much, so I'm going to lower the opacity here and we'll grab this tool down here, which is a mask, which means that I can paint something in or out of the frame. And we're going to erase these outer edges here. See, we've given ourselves some halation and bloom and given that kind of crazy like glowing effect that can be really, really fun to achieve in your photographs. Font can be a lot of fun to play around with. I love text, so you have a text tool on the left here and you can type just whatever you want. Let's say, okay. So if we use some font here and just like put it on the ridge, maybe what we can do is mask it and we can kind of hide it behind the grass here, just like that. And then we'll bring some of this back, just like that. And just like that, we can hide some text like super easy, just using a paintbrush and a masking tool, and we can use it to like blend into the environment and things like that. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is fixing skin. Okay, I don't have flawless skin. Let's just go over some things that we can do. First, we can use the patch tool. And what that does is just like the lasso tool, you'll click, drag, and hold. And I've selected an area, but if I click and drag this to another spot, it's basically replacing what's inside that circle with the circle you're moving it to. So now it looks like the rest of my cheek. And then you can also use the cloning stamp, which is kind of similar. So what you'll do is you'll hold down Alt and select an area that looks like clean skin, right? And then if I start drawing on the pimple or whatever it is, it'll start taking the source material from here. Okay, so if I alt my collar and select this area, it'll start drawing that image. As you can see, the cursor down here, but it's drawing it on my face. So that's all this tool does, and that can be really helpful for something that's in close proximity, so it's the same lighting, right? Just like that. And that's kind of all I have today on Photoshop and just kind of cleaning up your pictures. As you can see, for some of these pictures, all I had to do was select a head in the corner and then just hit edit, fill, okay, and then just like that, I could move on with my day and I would get a clean image to work with at the end. But as you can see, Photoshop is extremely handy in making corrections or adding some special effects like bloom or halation, or adding some fun elements like interactive font with the environment. So if you really want to make your pictures have a polished look, like they're done, then Photoshop is always the route to go, and make sure that it is just right. The other thing I wanted to briefly mention in today's video is portfolio work, and making sure that we can get it up there and fit your needs and your client's needs. If we slide on over to my portfolio, I just wanted to give some tips on showcasing your work. So I have a splash page that leads to many other things. It leads to Creep Cottage. This needs to be updated, but this used to lead to a comedy podcast I did and my old YouTube channel. So some of this needs to be updated, and it's been a minute, but I haven't been working as a photographer recently, so I haven't been super worried about it. I'm using the Adobe portfolio options that they have. It's like a whole program that you can do as long as you have the Adobe suite, and you can just build your own website and splash page, and it's really cool, really sweet. But there are tons of other options. There's Squarespace and Wix, or just using your Instagram, and these all work just as great. So let's go over these few tips I have, just so that it can help make an impact for when your website hits traffic. So I have like just this fun picture. I feel like it says me, and of course it does as well. And it says, you know, my job, what I want to do. I do film and photo, and it says it right here: photo, filmmaker, podcaster, and it just says everything that I was, you know, renting out at the time, whether it was equipment or if I was hiring my services as a magician or something else. So this was just a way to have all of my social media in one place, where you can check out my Instagram, my YouTube, my podcast, my photo gallery, etc. But if we go to my actual page here, my gallery, here's what I've got. Something just simple and basic. So the first thing that I would say is make sure that the pictures that are on your portfolio, the one that you're showing your clients and being like, hey, you should hire me and take a look at my work, it should be in your style, okay? Because you don't want to be getting hired for stuff you don't do. If you never want to do a wedding photo, then don't take wedding photos and then put it on your portfolio. I feel like that just makes sense. So just make sure that if there's styles like you're uncomfortable with or don't want to do, or like I am strictly a portrait photographer, don't be putting landscape shit on your portfolio. I do mainly portraits, as you can see here. Every single one except for one of them has a person in the frame. Secondly, you want to be able to brand a look for your website. It doesn't have to be like mega complicated. It could be just like a simple color theme, like, hey, I do classic and my website is black and white. It's just clean. Like, you can get a good impression from that. I just have a mixed media presence and wanted to showcase that in my portfolio. All these ripped up collages, ripped up paper, and these textures and grungy pictures and whatever. You should use small custom logos that you have made to help centralize that brand for your client. I have the VHS tape. I have this text here that says Oliver. Obviously the O with the dash in it. So I have a few symbols that are my brand. And when you look at that stuff, you're like, oh man, classic. VIDEOCHILD, classic Oliver. He's done it again. I'm sure no one thinks that, but they are belonging to the brand, so when you see it, you associate me. Next, I would say use albums to help sort your work, because I'm not saying stick to one thing and never branch out. Pick a couple of things that you're good at, that you enjoy doing, and make that kind of like these subfolders, like, hey, he does portraits. Oh, he does videos. Look at that, he has a whole film album. Oh, a specialized aesthetic. How interesting. Oh, a little album called Snow Day and Celtic Warrior. Infinity. Give it something gravitating. Like, name your albums. Get artistic. Be like, hey, this album meant this to me. And make that like the about page for the album or something. It'll make it easier for your clients to browse through your site and see what you're capable of doing and what you've done in the past. Like, oh, he's done festivals before. Oh, crazy, he's done night photo shoots. Like, he can do low lighting situations. That's what I need. Make it easier on yourself. Just be organized so that your clients don't get lost, and you'll be okay. And lastly, make sure you leave contact information, okay? Over here, email, YouTube, Instagram. Just something for them to contact you with. It goes a long way when you're booking clients. And if they're like, hey, I found this guy's website, but I don't know where to go from here. I like his work, and he's in my area, it looks like, but I don't know how to contact him and tell him I want to hire him or her. Well, this is where you start. You make your portfolio and you put your email and shit in there, and you're okay. You're safe. So take a load off. It'll be okay. Give it a gander. Just make sure it looks appealing. Okay? Like this. The colors and the framing, like, it all fits. This great aesthetic with nostalgic and messy moments is the style I love to shoot the most. If this gritty, candid, or posed vintage look intrigues you, you've come to the right place. Look at this, just as I said, these gritty, grungy photographs, candid, and like, look at this. Like, that just looks professional. It looks organized, it looks kept, and it delivers exactly what it promises at the top. These, like, grungy, dirty pictures. Maybe you're into it, maybe you're not, but at least I have a client list that I'm like, hey, I want to take more pictures like this. So that's it for my advice on portfolio work, getting your pictures organized and putting them in a way that intrigues the audience and intrigues the clientele. Just some simple ideas to help you spice up your following once you've taken your pictures and gotten stuff that you have fallen in love with. So keep up the great work. As always, you guys are doing so great. I'm proud of all of you. And as I mentioned before, next episode we're going to talk about style, and then we're going to move on to season 2 of VIDEOCHILD. I am gonna piss myself. I'm super excited. So thanks for watching all the way through. I hope you guys enjoyed Oktoberfest with me and the picture process and just a peek at the portfolio. But I appreciate you guys going all the way through and letting me say goodbye. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and do that right now. Show it with the buttons down there. If you guys want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you know when we upload next. So thanks again. I'll see you guys in the next episode of VCR. Peace out. I said too much.